She unlatches my gate, nudges two little backpacks into my backyard, and turns like she's late for a meeting. No text, no knock. Just, they'll be fine. I take one breath and spend exactly 10 words. No. Take them now, or I'll call the police. That's it. That's the whole law firm. And if you think the story ends there, you haven't met a neighborhood chat in the middle of a slow Saturday. Welcome to Storyverse, where we treat real Reddit-style dramas like mini investigations instead of Scream compilations. We rewind without rage, replay without reverb, and pull out the one sentence you can actually use tomorrow. No villains manufactured in post, no hero edits, just regular people, messy moments, and phrases that put the lid back on the pot. Tonight's case file spans entitled Parents, Wedding Surprises, Workplace Boundaries, Cones that think they own asphalt, Drums that learn manners, and Smoke that learns to drift elsewhere. The plot twist isn't a twist at all. It's a map taped exactly where the problem lives. Our first clip rolls in with rosemary and wet soil. Sarah's backyard looks like a postcard, terracotta that might have a name, tomatoes that shine like they've been buffed. 2 doors down, Dana runs on caffeine, 2 kids and a calendar held together with exclamation points. It starts the way friendly streets do. Hey, if a package shows up, can you grab it? Of course. Wind knocked my trash bin. Mind standing it up? Already did. That's how blocks get built. Tiny yeses stacking until they feel like home. But culture resets itself quietly in the space between asked once and assumed always. 10 minutes becomes 25. The dog slips a leash. Sarah coaxes him back with leftover chicken and a smile. No crimes, just the hum of Sarah will fix it. Then Saturday hits 11:04 a.m. and her phone buzzes. Motion alert. Backyard. The camera is clinical, almost bored. Latch, swing, 2 backpacks stepping past the line that divides mine from yours. Dana pivots to leave, kids already on the grass. What are you doing? This is my home, Sarah says. Calm voice, straight spine. I need a break. They'll be fine here, Dana says, already half gone. And that's when the neighborhood's strongest sentence earns its keep. No. Take them now or I'll call the police. No essay, no moral debate. Agreement or escalation, pick one. The gate clicks shut, but the real scene is still loading. Sarah saves the clip, calls the non-emergency line, speaks like a person reading a recipe. An officer watches once, asks 3 questions you could fit on an index card. Did you consent? Were the children unattended? Has this happened before? Sarah, no, yes, not like this. He explains next steps if it repeats, leaves a case number, small, ugly font, incredibly useful. Then Sarah posts one sentence in the neighborhood thread, respect my home and my time. Emergencies are different. This wasn't one. The rumor engine, which had been warming up like an old blender, suddenly needs ingredients. It doesn't get them. A week passes, knock at the fence. Dana, 2 coffees, 3 words you don't hear often enough. I shouldn't have. Sarah answers with policy, not personality. Text me. If I'm free, I'll say yes. If not, I'll say no. Empathy doesn't require surrender. Boundaries don't require a bark. 2 weeks later, a different ping. Running late, can you porch watch 10 minutes at 12:10? Sarah, yes, until 12:20. A kitchen timer, face down on the table, becomes the neighborhood's smallest calendar. Headlights at 12:19, shoelaces and laughter. Favor ends where it began. Kindness repeats when it has a clock. It rots when it doesn't. Meanwhile, the chat grows a spine and a manners class. Priya, our night shift nurse with the calmest brain on Elm Street, pins a line that belongs on a mug. Please take specifics to DMs. For public posts, share facts you can verify. Translation, rumor goes backstage, facts take the stage. Lost pet posts learn to speak map. Cross street, timestamp, tail description. Performers drift, solvers stay. Let's roll the second reel. Same energy, different table. Trampoline park birthday, frosting in the air. Maya is our aunt-in-chief and the guardian of 3 severe allergies. Peanuts, tree nuts, dairy. She bakes a gorgeous allergen-safe cake with the discipline of a lab tech and the soul of a grandmother. Sign on the table says, allergy-safe cake. This line only if you've been cleared. Enter Brianna, one store cake with nuts in the frosting and nuts in the filling and nuts like a theme. She squints at the sign like it owes her rent. Real kids eat real cake, she says, and if you've met a comment section, you know what comes next. A switch. The unsafe cake slides center stage. The safe cake goes into the wings. The little sign vanishes like a receipt you'd rather not keep. Maya returns mid-swap, freezes, crosses the distance with her inside voice doing outside work. Stop. That cake contains nuts. Manager, incident log, a short line of parents who suddenly want labels. Brianna tries the classic guilt reversal. You can't make the whole party adapt for 3 kids. Maya points to 3 kids holding EpiPens and says, I'm not making anything. I'm making sure nobody stops breathing at your kid's birthday. The room exhales into the only plan that makes sense. Nut cake at a separate table, far end, labeled and photo posted. Allergy-safe cake stays where it started. 3 days later, the PTA ships a policy that fits on a phone screen. Treats require store labels. Nut items get their own table. Host posts a label photo before arrival. No moral sermon, just logistics that beat sirens. Brianna eventually writes, I didn't understand how serious it was, I'm sorry. And then she writes the sentence that matters more. Next party, I'll follow the PTA rules. We're not here to humiliate, we're here to install fixes. Fade into string lights, brick courtyard, and a dress that's so white planes could land by it. Lila's wedding is a soft-focused dream until Marcus's mom arrives dressed like a lighthouse. TikTok loves a meltdown at this point. Lila loves a plan. Can we talk in private for 1 minute? She asks and unzips a soft sky blue backup, tailored and ready. You matter. The photos matter. I want the memory to be joy, not a scene. Mom touches the fabric and chooses the story over the spotlight. Later, her toast nails the day in 12 words. Love doesn't require being centered in every frame. That line becomes family canon. The album becomes a love letter instead of a courtroom transcript. The trick wasn't a power move. It was a prepared yes paired with a necessary no. Back to the block, where work from home is still new enough to misunderstand. Andre codes from a sunlit desk. His neighbor Tasha hears WFH and translates it to watch my kid, half day at school. He can hang at your place, right? Andre says the sentence that keeps resentment off the calendar. I'm working those hours, I can't supervise. There are 2 programs nearby. A week later, a rumor floats through HR that Andre runs daycare during stand-up. He forwards the texts, the calendar blocks, and the rumor dies on contact with receipts. Then the doorbell decides it's urgent. Bing, bing, bing. Andre texts the template I want tattooed on the internet's bicep. On a call, please don't ring. Text if needed. I'll reply at 30. You're unneighborly, Tasha says. Friends ask, they don't announce, Andre replies. 2 weeks later, there's a knock and lemon bars and the 3 sentences that actually fix things. Found a spot at the community center. I shouldn't have sent that email. Repair is not a saga, it's a calendar entry. Andre even posts tech office hours, Saturday 11 to 12, and becomes the hero who removes haunted toolbars for exactly 1 hour a week. Boundaries aren't cold, they're clear. Now for the cone with main character energy. Public street, no snow, and suddenly orange cones are reserving curb like velvet ropes. Avery prints a laminated card, zip ties it to a cone. Public street. Cones don't reserve spaces. Need a loading zone? Call 311. Cone King appears with a finger and a claim. That's my spot. That's our street, Avery says, and she drafts a 1-page map for a real loading zone. Arrows, sight lines, no bus conflict. Neighbors sign. A few weeks later, paint appears. The 15-minute sign goes up. And the sighs you hear are from parents with car seats and movers with vertebrae. The cone retires respectfully to guard a painter's drop cloth at the block cleanup. Add 1 line under the rule so purpose is obvious. Any loading, 8 to 8. The word any is a rumor-proof vest. If your attention likes rhythm changes, here's a good one. Saturday, 10:03 a.m., and the garage door opens on a kid who can actually play. Malik's 16. The pocket is tight, and the rudiments sound like ambition. Across the street, May edits podcasts for a living, and snare bleed in ad reads isn't a vibe. She does not open with, keep it down. She opens with respect. Your syncopation's clean. I record 10 to 2. Could we set practice windows so both of us win? She offers low-volume cymbals after 7. They write a treaty on a sticky note. Tuesday and Thursday 5 to 6, Saturday 2:30 to 5, Sunday 3 to 5. Complaints vanish. 3 weeks later, a sax guest arrives with louder is better energy. At 7:10, the volume creeps. May taps the posted schedule without sounding like a hall monitor. After 7, library rules. The sax laughs. Malik lifts a hand and says, I promised. He dials it back. The promise wins, and a neighbor who once rolled their eyes now brings folding chairs to a quiet preview before the school concert. It turns out applause works at any volume. Upstairs, air behaves like shared water. Lena and Arturo bring home a newborn, and for 3 miraculous days the universe plays along. Then smoke sneaks in at 11 from the balcony above. It isn't illegal, it's just in the crib. Lena drafts the spicy text, deletes it, sends the one that works. Congrats on the new job, Ivan. Quick heads up, smoke is drifting into the nursery around 11. Could you shift to the front stoop or a bit earlier? I can drop a door draft stopper if that helps. Ivan at 1:02 a.m. Didn't know. I'll try the front. Nights are when I decompress. A week improves, a guest resets the problem, and Lena proposes what wins 9 times out of 10. Move the issue, don't refight it. A designated smoking corner by the side garden, tall ash urn, modest awning, and an arrow pointing away from bedrooms. The landlord says yes. Basil starts smelling like basil again. We just built a truce out of a sign. Quick pit stop for something unsexy that saves friendships. Microscripts you can steal. I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. I can do 10 minutes. After that, you'll need a sitter. Please, text first. Emergencies are different. This isn't one. Short enough to remember when your heart rate is up. Calm enough to keep your future self proud of you. Repeat once if pushed, then redirect. Here are 2 options. Mid-roll nudge while we're breathing. If you're collecting sentences, you can use tomorrow. Subscribe to Storyverse and tap the bell. It tells the algorithm you don't need another rage montage. You need real language that makes real days easier. Drop your best one-line boundary in the comments. I'm pinning the one that saves the most people the most time. Back to work. Because the pattern you're hearing, precision over volume, visibility over vibes, keeps showing up in different clothes. A delivery driver tries to be careful and drops a package inside Sarah's gate. Appreciate the drop. Please leave packages on the stoop. The yard isn't a drop-off zone, she says with a smile that sounds like a period. Is that a policy? The driver asks. It is at this address, Sarah says. That line is neighbor gold. Firm, friendly, final. Later, the officer who took the first report swings by on patrol. Everything calmer? Yes, the sitter list helped. Good. Same number, same phrasing, same channel, he says. That's the word that de-escalates and protects. Consistency. You're not yelling. You're training the future version of the conflict to fix itself faster. Do you see the arc forming? We didn't build a utopia. We built a procedure. The sitter list grew into a resource page with vetted teens, drop-in daycares, and a 10-minute porch host column for people who can spare exactly 1 sliver of time without losing their sanity. The chat learned to ignore posts without time, place, and purpose. Doorbells learned to become texts. Cones learned to get jobs they're qualified for. Drums learned to read the room. Smoke learned to drift elsewhere. And the sentence that started everything? No. Take them now or I'll call the police. Never had to be shouted because it didn't pretend to be anything but the truth. I'm pausing the file here so we don't sprint past the good part. In part 2, we'll close the hour with the tool library that stopped losing bits. We'll pickup map that shut down the honk opera, the snow plan that beat tow trucks, the lost and found that actually finds, the ring cam standard that protects dignity in packages, the HOA sequel that finally writes what everyone argued about, A fast Q&A that diffuses the usual comment wars and a clean outro that earns your like and your sub without begging? Where were we? Right, at the part where clear sentences started doing more work than loud arguments. Let's keep walking the block, because once a neighborhood learns to post the future where the problem lives, small frictions start fixing themselves before they turn into episodes. We'll start in a garage that smells like cedar and coffee. Mina's inherited toolbox has become the hottest library on the street. QR stickers on every drill, and driver, scan out, scan in, name, and due time. It's not a lecture, it's a system. Enter Trent, the real quick guy. He reaches for a cordless drill, breezes past the QR code, and says the sentence that once broke half the tools, back in an hour. Mina smiles like a librarian who's seen everything. If it's not scanned out, it wasn't borrowed, she says. And my policy is to assume it's lost at 10 a.m. tomorrow and replace it on your tab. It's cheaper to scan it. He laughs, he scans, he returns on time. Order isn't mean, order is kindness paid in advance. She adds 2 tiny upgrades, a reservations grid on the whiteboard so collisions happen on paper instead of in driveways, and a safety card velcroed inside the lid. Glasses on, cords coiled, return by 10 a.m. sharp. The garage doesn't just hold tools now, it holds trust. People stop arguing because the board already decided. Afternoons bring their own symphony, clutches grinding, horns preaching, pickup lanes playing jazz. The PTA prints one sheet that looks like a treasure map, arrows that make sense, a sight line that respects physics, and the lung-saving line that belongs on every curb. Engines off if stopped more than 30 seconds. 3 parents take an early lunch to train with the actual crossing guard. One hand that means hold, one sweep that means cross now, and a posture that says, I'm not guessing. Day 2, the lane moves like someone rehearsed it. Day 5, the why can't people just posts evaporate because people can when the map is visible. A dad rolls down his window and asks, who fixed this? The guard points to the paper. The map fixed it, she says. That's the quiet revolution. Not heroes, not villains. Just a drawing taped where chaos used to be. Winter writes in all caps. The city declares snow emergency. And usually that means 40 bright red notifications and a plow that can't plow because everyone believes in magical thinking. Not this time. The chat reposts 2 visuals and goes back to coffee. Visual 1. Sidewalks broken into named segments with a 9 a.m. target. City requires 10. The block beats it by an hour because smugness is a renewable resource when you're warm. Visual 2. Alternate side parking with the only sentence that survives ice and opinions. Even days, even side. Jake adds the line that's both funny and effective. The tow truck doesn't care about your opinion, it cares about the rule. People move their cars on time. The plow turns into a rumor. Did you hear? It actually plowed. The story ends with boots drying by radiators and nobody falling on their pride. Spring melts into a street fair, and chaos tries to lace up its boots. Lost hats, feral water bottles, a single left shoe with main character energy. Instead of shouting, they put reality on a whiteboard. Lost. Write a description and last seen time. Found. Place the item on the blue table and post a photo in the thread. A kid's favorite cap goes missing. The path is elegant. Whiteboard, photo, blue table, hug. No megaphone, no 15-person search party, just a fix sitting exactly where panic usually starts. The best part is how 5-foot-tall humans can run the whole machine. That's what a system is. A thing you can hand to anyone and it still works. Meanwhile, the internet's favorite vigilante device keeps trying to turn neighbors into blooper reels. Sam's door cam catches a porch pirate. He posts the clip. A DM arrives with a sentence that should freeze your mouse in midair. That's my partner in a towel in the background. Please take it down. He could dig in. He chooses to be decent. Didn't notice, he replies, taking it down, cropping and blurring now. Repost goes up. The thief is still identifiable by the gait and the shoes, but the towel never becomes content. The group adopts a mnemonic that survives contact with the upload button. Crop like a neighbor, post like a reporter, blur like a lawyer, mute like a decent human. You can protect packages without undressing people for sport. Editing isn't coddling criminals. It's refusing to set your porch on fire to keep your hands warm. And since we're already in bylaws land, let's visit the HOA sequel where tomatoes learn to read minutes. Months after Jake's side yard trellis was declared legal by the sentence he printed and proposed, a new rumor begins sprinting. They enforce paint colors on some, not others. Jake doesn't serve outrage, he serves links. Selective enforcement claims need examples with dates, he posts. Drop them here, we'll file together. Two real examples surface. One gets a correction letter that should have gone out ages ago. The other gets a board note that sounds like a human being grew up mid-meeting. Our memory ran faster than our minutes. Then he proposes a consent calendar. Compliant small projects approved in one block vote. So the board stops bleeding time on fence talk. It passes. The word arbitrary takes a nap. Let's catch our breath with a handful of scripts you can screenshot and keep on your tongue for when your pulse jumps. I'm not available for that. Calm, complete, no footnotes. That doesn't work for me. Soft edge, hard stop. 10 minutes at 4:10, porch only. Clocks turn favors into plans. Text before entering. Post it where the problem lives. Engines off after 30 seconds. That one solves climate and courtesy in 7 words. Crop like a neighbor, blur like a lawyer, the whole camera policy in 8. And my personal wedding and life favorite, I'm saying no to the thing, yes to you. That's how you keep love in the room while you keep chaos out of the photo. Since we're basically speed running the comment section before it arrives, here's the Q&A. I wish every thread read before it typed. Why call the police at all? Because unsupervised kids were placed on private property without consent. A non-emergency call creates a record and prevents next month's she said from wasting everybody's oxygen. Not legal advice, just the frame so you can paint inside it. What if the neighbor cries and calls you cruel? Be kind about feelings, firm about facts. I'm sorry it's hard, I'm still not available. Here are 2 options. Empathy isn't surrender. Won't signs escalate things? Signs depersonalize. You're not confronting a person, you're enforcing a posted standard at the point of friction. English isn't their first language. Then what? Add icons or a translated line, a text bubble next to text first, a clock next to 10 minutes. What if I messed up first? Own it fast and post a fix. I parked wrong, I'm moving now. Here's the curb map we'll follow. The apology is the bridge. The map is the road. Am I the jerk for saying no? No is a complete sentence. If you want padding, I can't. Here are 2 resources. Zoom out with me for 30 quiet seconds. The pattern you've heard all night is not poetry. It's plumbing. Precision beats volume. Visibility beats vibes. Consistency beats charisma. Repair is a sentence, not a saga. That original 10-word line, number 1. Take them now, or I'll call the police. Didn't start a war. It ended a bad habit before it turned into a headline. And it started a culture where the village actually works. The sitter list that's a resource, not a rumor. The doorbell that learned to become a text. The cone that got a job it's qualified for. The drums that learned to read a room. The smoke that drifted somewhere else. The meeting that stopped arguing and started writing the sentence everyone can follow. So here's the earned outro. If tonight handed you even one line you can use, on a gate, in a chat, at pickup, tap like so, this reaches the next neighbor who needs language more than drama. Subscribe to Storyverse and ring the bell if you want more Reddit-style case files turned into usable sentences every week. Drop your best 1-sentence boundary in the comments. I'll pin the one that saves the most people the most time. I'll keep the folder open. You keep the map posted.